I'm here with Aaron McSwain, trainer from the Spartan Youth Program. Been asked, Shady, why don't you put out any cricket-specific videos? Get the world to see some of the high-performance stuff. So we're gonna put Aaron through the ringer here. We've got a cricket-specific flow. We talk about balance, we talk about strength, talk about explosive movements. This is mostly focused on balance and improving that strength and flexibility and mobility. It's a huge part of fast bowling, it's a huge part of batting. So Aaron is not a cricketer at all, just a strength trainer, but it's going to put us through sort of the ringer of things that we can work on at home with regards to some of that flow that we're talking about. So we talk about certain movements and just being in that real athletic position. You can see A-Rod is kind of shuffling into a reverse lunge, right? You can tell that his movement patterns are very still, right? He's very, very strong with the belly button and at the core, and he's able to twist in that strong movement here. So you can tell that he's just gone from a lunging position. Now he's really holding that stable base, really firing this glute and creating a lot of strength and a lot of balance as he switches legs and transitions into another reverse lunge, which would be more specific to our sweeps or reverse sweeps, and just keeping a really strong base, maintaining that balance for about 5 seconds. He'll switch from that flow into a forward lunge or side lunge into that front foot batting position, and now coming forward into that other front foot batting position, and he's maintaining that strong base. Now switching into the opposite side, which is obviously important for rotation, and he'll flex into another angle, which is obviously important for that variance of angles. We're now going to move into some single leg deadlift flow, so for fast bowlers, kind of transitioning and following through in their action, which is really strong on this foot and grabbing that floor with the toes, right? Really pulling and pushing away with the spikes into the ground. Twisting from that position, showing a lot of courage, showing a lot of strength, showing a lot of balance, right? Really engaging at the core, so he's not just flailing his arms around, right? He's breathing really heavily, really, really strong through his core. He's able to flow into that other leg, bracing that core, transitioning and concentrating on a certain spot, concentrating on the strength and the pull of those toes, right? If you think about following through in a fast bowler's position of following through now and driving through that hip, that's where Aaron was at. Now getting into some imbalances, so really striking rotation, rotating his head, coming into a good throwing position. You can see his arm is up, nice and tall, and he would eventually drive this elbow in and follow through. So that would be your throwing position, a good solid bowling position, which puts him into that single leg deadlift in a really strong position with the hamstring. So hamstring strength, huge for strengthening with bowlers, with batsmen. Good, and hold. Good, come back up and we'll go forward lunge. Good, so I can now put a bat into his hands, right? And he's never really played any cricket before, but he can put a bat in his hands and he'll get into that sweep shot, which is really kind of pulling across the body, right? So coming down, trying to middle that ball, going that way, and then kind of standing back up, coming into that batting position, right, where he'd be in here, and coming forward. So hands are in nice and tight, and he's lunging forward. Big lunge forward. Good, and coming in. So even if you're a beginner, you can obviously see you're in some pretty strong positions, and it's all from the legs and the hips. So just in here kind of with my cricket bat, obviously working into somebody who does play cricket and some of that flow, some of the movements that we'd be using in that flow. So right off the bat, right, we talked about having that balance on one leg and being able to lunge to the side, which puts me in this position, which is a common position for cricket, right? We're always trying to play those cut shots, and a lot of that is that balance through the hips. So you can see how mobile I am through my hips and how much explosive power I can generate from transferring from this leg into that leg, right? It's that, and I can transition from there into a nice solid forward defense, right? A lot of my weight is on this front foot, transferring that weight, and from here I can even lift up and drive, change that rotation, and really survive on that one leg. Driving this hip up, right? I can move back out, stand up tall, and I'm in that batting position again. Same thing applies with that other leg, so now working into that front foot, I can transition into that forward lunge and pull, and you can see that that comes through that hip, right? That's where we're really getting that explosive power. So being from that batting position into a forward defense or a back foot defense, it's all about balance, right? Being able to transition from here into there and moving those hips to come back and cut, or come back and back drive, and a lot of that balance. So core strength, you can see all that breathing and the explosive movements through my legs. So some of the exercises we talk about doing at home, obviously if you're looking to become a high performance player, you will need some tools, weights, some light weights, a band, very easy to get at any of your local sports stores. Using this band, we're just going to work into our first exercise, the compound exercise of a squat row. So we're implementing 2 different exercises, strengthen up our hips and our legs. So using this kind of squat position, so I'm able to really fire in my shoulder blades back here, and that's really important when I'm going through the full range of motion. So nice and slow through the range would be into that, basically into that squat, right? You can see that my knees are not going too forward, all my weight's on my heels, and I'm not allowing this band to pull me forward. I gotta be set up back here, right? Until I drive with my glutes into that row. So hips come forward, really firing my glutes, pulling back, shoulder blades are down, my abs are super tight. I'm gonna reach forward without sacrificing that, right? I'm still strong through my core, and I'm gonna fire. Forward. So another exercise to do at home, still have my band. We talk a lot about, obviously, cricket specific, a lot about cut shots and pull shots and being real explosive with the rotation of the hip. So if you think about almost like boxing, right, there's a lot of this hip movement going on, and a lot of when that ball hits your bat, that half a second that you have, it usually comes from that explosive fire or twitch from your muscles through your hip. So I'm just gonna go through some band rotations here. We want to hold the band pretty strong with that right hand, okay? The other one will come on top, right? So we got a pretty good base there. We want to start kind of just in front of the opposite shoulder, right? So you can almost think about cuts, right? Or pulls, okay? And I just want you to pay attention to the hip and what's going on at the hip and at the shoe, okay? So I'll take that in front, shoulder blades back. This is my strong athletic position, okay? I'm going to fire. And I'm really firing this glute here. That's keeping me strong, and I'm strong through here. Come back. We talk about playing pull shots, right? And coming down on that ball. That's where we want to be. If we talk about cut shots, it's just a change in foot positioning, right? Now all of a sudden we're transitioning from here and being able to, so those become shorter and sharper. Still a lot going on at my hip, right? And we talk about playing cuts and playing across and behind square. It's that short, explosive jab, which comes from the hip. Core, hips, everything to do with batting. Okay guys, so obviously everything is legs, right? We talk a lot about legs. We talk about spending a lot of time in a lunge position when it comes to cricket, whether you're batting or bowling. You're often lunging when you are in the field even, lunging to the left, lunging to the right. So we want to talk about strengthening that lunge position. We have here a bar, weighs about 15 to 20 pounds, and we can put that on our back. You can easily use your bat, right? Your bat weighs about 2 or 3 pounds, so at least you'll be able to get into a certain position, right? If you don't have access to a bar or something, weights or anything like that. We're talking about pure balance here, so we want to get into that proper reverse lunge position. You can see this bar on my back kind of puts my posture in check. So a lot of us have that posture problem, right? Which has our shoulder blades come apart, and we're in that position. And if I'm on that, a lot of us have that problem with batting, right? Where we're falling over and hunching over, and that head always falls over. So that sort of keeping your hips up and your spine extended is where you want to be with this, okay? So we're going to come into a nice reverse lunge, okay? You can see that I've stepped back, my posture hasn't changed, and I'm driving straight down in this position. Core is tight, right? And I'm able to come up and drive this knee. So in this position, my foot is flexed, my knee is driving up, and my left glute is firing as hard as I possibly can. You can see in my shoe a little bit of instability, right? Really working on that balance, and now firing my quad and my glute, and transitioning from that position back into that reverse lunge. So from here, I can now rotate and rotate and then drive. A little bit more speed if we're a little bit more advanced is driving back, and you can see that that balance is on point, right? It's a lot of dedication to core strength and strengthening of the legs. We talk about explosive power, right? That's everything to do with cricket, bowling, batting, even spin bowling, releasing that ball through the hips, driving through the hips, fielding, that explosive diving stop, that explosive throw. That all comes through the core and through the legs. So thrusters is the next exercise that we're going to go through. Again, you can use weights, you can use a barbell, you can use a band, you can use your cricket bat. Again, same thing. When we talk about generating really explosive power, okay, we're going to load up the weights onto the shoulders here, and I'm going to develop or establish myself into a pretty solid squat position, and I'm going to really explode up through my hips. So we talk about hips and exploding through the hips, that half a second and that burst, that exhale. You're going to see how strong and how hard I have to exhale to generate as much force as I will, okay? So I'll go down nice and slow into that nice squat position. Okay, I'll probably hold for a sec, posture is all right, and I'm going to explode and come down, and come down, and come down. So trainer asked me to come up onto the toes, generate ultimate strength, ultimate explosiveness, and sitting back. From this position, we can transition into a more batting friendly, which is a little bit more of a trickier position. Okay, so we still have the weights up, right? We're in that batting stance now. So we can drive and down, and drive and down. From this position, twist, twist, drive. Lots of compound movements we can get from here. Lots of things we can do with these barbells and these dumbbells, okay? Use them, challenge yourself. Gym, you have to go to a gym, if not at home. Again, band, weights, barbell, whatever it takes. You gotta strengthen those legs, strengthen those hips. If we have any focus or any intent to get to the next level, we gotta get on it. So talk about rotating those hips. I'm gonna go through some burpees. Going to add in some fielding, just some kind of fast twitch, catching and throwing on the box, so implementing some squat jumps as well. Again, you can do this anywhere in a park. You got a park bench, a box at home, even on your bed. Something to better your skills, better your fitness level, and your strength and explosive power. All right, so I'm going to start here with Aaron. He's going to throw a couple balls as I jump on the box, but first we'll go into burpee position and go from there. All right, here we go. Catch right. Catch left, drive, down, exhale, down, and have to be in this position here to jump up. This is that solid fielding position. So talking about fielding, talking about driving those hips up, talking about coming up fast, getting up fast, and being able to throw fast. We're talking about the high performance level. We're not talking about just stopping the ball, taking your time and throwing it in. I'm going to work slow motion sort of to show you the dynamics of how to do it the most efficient way. And then we'll get into a little bit of speed and a little bit more catching with Aaron with the ball. So being in this athletic position here is that hop step, right? Fielding. From here, I want to get down into that push-up position. From here, I really want to explode my legs forward. From this position, I can get into that throwing position. From this position, I can even run a guy out to the offside, so I can even flick through here, right? But when we're in this position here, we can be even able to jump up, throw, get on, left, right, and back down. Here, driving that hip on the box, left, right. So another exercise, specifically for core, specifically for the stability of the shoulders, so fast bowlers, being in that really stable position of your shoulder, always coming down, and then implementing those lower abs. So the lower abs are going to connect to your hip flexors, which are obviously responsible for a lot of your strength, a lot of your power with batting and bowling. So also another just kind of core exercise to strengthen up the abs and to really strengthen up that lower back. So a lot of the cricketers around the world, especially young ones, have that lower back pain when they're batting. They can't bat very long, end up losing their concentration because their back is hurting or they feel stiff, which just means generally they're not fit. So strengthening that core and strengthening that lower back is the most important aspect, especially when you're young, coming up, so you got a really solid base. So one exercise that you can focus on, again, you'll need a band, You can also use your cricket bat and hold it up top as well. So just gonna kind of get myself into position here. Gonna grab onto these handles. So right off the bat, there's a bit of tension here, and I'm gonna wanna create that tension and establish the tension and maintain it throughout the whole range. So I'm gonna pull those handles forward, lock my knees out straight, squeezing my ankles and knees together. I'm gonna lower the legs and drive them up. In this position here, I wanna really squeeze those handles into my knees, drop down, and drive. Keeping that low back on the mat, keeping the feet flexed, so flexed is toes into the shins, right? And maintaining that exhale. Very important to breathe. Okay, really feeling that in the abs, shoulders are stable. Real ab burner, especially for the hip flexors and the low back. Very important. So putting all those exercises together, we can obviously implement some cricket specific moves, some cricket specific flow. So just gonna work into some front foot drives and some back foot drives. I've attached my handle of my bat to just a regular band, so you can see that my top hand is on top, bottom hand is on the bottom. So we're gonna use a little bit of resistance to kind of get through our flow here. So you can see I'm in a good batting stance. My hands are in, and obviously I'm preparing for that ball. I'm gonna step into a forward drive and then come back. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Always tension that's building.
Okay, for all the cricketers out there, all the Spartan youth, everybody who's been following this guy, putting all this work together, you guys really got to follow this. What he did is he took you through an entire program that you can do at home. There's no excuses now. You can do this stuff at home, okay? You got a band, you got a bat, you get a little bar. Just follow along every week, follow the posts, and you're going to get stronger, you're going to get fitter, you're going to get better at the sport of cricket.
Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, you said it best. Obviously, now you've got something to work on at home. Cricketers all over the world. There's a lot more to come just in terms of exercises. We're going to explain it. We're going to explain the form and technique, and then obviously it's on you guys to kind of put that to work. Cricket in Canada, we're obviously faltering for a reason. We're way behind when it comes to fitness, not just physically, but mentally. So stay humble, work hard, and let's take cricket back to where it needs to be.